Choosing Aaron. This just came out, like, I think 2 days ago or so. I am in Tessa Stone's Patreon. So I was able to get it before, and then it came out, and I was like, yes, because I actually wanted to read it on Kindle Unlimited so I can use what I usually use to listen to it. Now, let me say this. This, out of this entire series, was not my favorite. And I say that because the character, Mara, is her name Mara? Yeah, Mara. She was getting on my nerves. She was getting on my nerves. And I say she was getting on my nerves because, but I can't say that because she had trauma. Okay. So if you don't know about the Winter Moon series, this is a series which takes place in a fictional city called Winter Moon, which is in Detroit or near Detroit. And there are families there, supernatural families. So they have vampires, we call them vampires, lichens, or werewolves, whatever. They have a spider queen, which was crazy. They also have a person who is, they have warlocks, witches. They have the king of all of everybody. So he can be whoever he wants to be. And then you have his wife, and then you have bear shifters, you have dragon shifters. Like, it's a lot of black supernatural characters in this space. But in this book, what was interesting is that each person has a fated mate. Now, let me go back. 1,000 years before, what ended up happening is there was a war that happened between the supernaturals and the humans and the witches, and the witches won, and so all of the supernaturals were given this fate of 1,000 years with no fated mate. So they've been living 1,000 years without being able to find the person that they had been put on this earth for. The curse was broken, and now everybody is trying to figure out who their fated mate is. And for the shifters, it's I can smell you, so I know you are my mate. And their mates are usually humans. Now, in this story, you have Amara, or Mara as she's called, and Aaron. Aaron is a person, or is a warlock. He is one of like the biggest ones, although he doesn't really want to use his powers as they're supposed to be used. Mara is a shifter. She's a lioness. The problem is that Aaron in a previous book is in love with another lioness. And by in love, I mean he's following her, even though he knows that she is fated to someone else. And that's a whole nother story that I actually enjoy as well. And so he's been following her around like a puppy. And her fated mate is also, I think, a wolf, if I recall. And he ain't with the shits, right? Every time he sees him after going after his fated mate, he's like, I'm gonna bust your ass. I'm gonna bust your ass. And he's like, no. And she always says to him, you know that this is my fated mate. Like, we can never be anything but friends. Like, that's my man. We go together real bad. You need to stop. He can't help it. And so at the beginning of the story, Aaron is at a lunch table with all of their friends. And this young lady, Mara, is getting up the courage to speak to him. And so her roommate is like, do you want me to go with you? Because I know how much you've been pining for him. You've been yearning for him. Mind you, these are like 15-year-olds. And I want to be there with you. Because she's like, no, I got to do this myself. I got to stand up and be this preteen. Well, she's a teenager, and I got to go do this myself. She does. The problem is that because he's so far up this other girl's butt, or this lioness's butt, he doesn't see her for who she is. She knows, Mara knows that that is her fated mate. She knows it. She's very much aware of it. She can smell it. Because he doesn't have that same compulsion to say, this is my mate, he kind of like just flings her off and is like, what do you want? Like, why are you here? And because of that, she immediately feels rejection. Now, rejection is like heartbreak. Now, if you've ever had your heart broken, you know that when you get your heart broken, it can be a physical thing. You can't eat, you can't sleep, you're crying, nothing seems to be going right. And for her, as a 15-year-old, she wanted also to like self-delete. And her father had to feed her, had to give her water, had to provide for her because she felt like he just distanced himself from her and said, I am rejecting you. Whole time, he didn't know that that was his fated mate. And she never said it. And so instead of her staying at school and finishing out the semester and finishing out whatever and talking to the others around her, even her roommate, she just left. And so 15 years later, here they are back at square one. She has been able for 15 years to not see him, not smell him, not be near him, not do anything. Hey, and because of that, she has really felt like she has a grasp on her emotions. She doesn't. She does not. And what ends up happening is they are playing this tug of war. But what didn't make sense to me within this book is that the reason why I didn't like her, and it's not that I didn't like her, I I felt like a lot of her anger was centered at this person who didn't understand what was happening, especially as a 15-year-old. Now, if you know anything like I know, I was an educator in my past life. Children, because 15 is a child, their hormones are going all over the place. And then in this story, because they are shifters, they're dealing with magic, dealing with like crazy strength and all those things in between. And now you have on top of that, you're my fated mate, and he doesn't understand. And so the challenge with this is that she is mad at him and he is like, I don't know what you want me to do. I didn't know. I wasn't aware. You did not make me aware, and now you're holding it against me. And we are 30 years old, and I'm trying to get to know you. I'm trying to love you, and your father is whooping my ass, and I don't know what to do now. And so it was a very interesting thing to see how they are navigating this space. Also, I thought it was interesting because Tessa Stone does a very, very good job. If you don't know, again, let me tell you what book I'm talking about. I'm talking about Tessa Stone, A Paranormal Romance, Choosing Aaron. It just came out. This is the book. Tessa Stone does a really good job with the small moments in relationships. And so in this story, you have Amara, who is navigating pain, physical pain, but also the mental pain of understanding, like, I went through this and it didn't just affect me, it affected my father, it affected my pride, it affected everybody who I was supposed to be around, but it also affected my relationship with myself and my relationship with her lying and how she has been denying herself because she doesn't want to be hurt again. And then you have Aaron, who is like, I ain't know none of this shit. I just showed up and you told me that me and you go together real bad, and I'm trying to do the right thing, but you are not allowing me to because you are hurt. And I get why you hurt, but also you played a part in this. You did. And it's interesting to see how everyone around them understands that he played a small part in this, but also she should have said something. And because she didn't, now they are trying to navigate this space. And not his father, I'm sorry, her father is like, you're not going to come over here and you're not going to be here and tell my daughter that you want to be with her, but you hurt her. And not only did you hurt her, you put her in a space where she did not want to be here anymore. Like she was wasting away. And you want me now, 15 years later, to tell you that it's okay because you bought me 2 damn pieces of meat? Get the fuck out of here. And he was willing to get his ass whooped, like fully get his ass whooped in order to show her how much he wanted to be with her. But then on the opposite side of that, he was selfish, and he said he was selfish. And so you have these two people who are dealing with feelings from teenage years, or for her, and then you're dealing with family dynamics because his mother is a black woman and she don't like that she was like, you should have said something to my son and you didn't, and now here we are and your father is whooping my child's ass and you think I'm going to stand here? I will level this shit. And she comes and she rescues him. And what was interesting about her rescuing her son was she was dead ass serious that she was going to level. She is a very powerful witch in her own right, and she told this girl's father, I will shut this shit down. There will be no more. You will be no more. Your daughter will be no more. Your family will be no more. The tribe, the whoever, the pride will be no more. You cannot hurt my child because your child didn't do what she was supposed to do. And so you have that dynamics and the dynamic of him kind of being a mama's boy, which was brought up. And so you have all these things happening as well as the magic side of it. And then in drops a bomb with his uncle, who is the king, who's asking him a question that he doesn't know how to answer. Because now he's like, I finally have my person, this person who I've been struggling to find, and now you want to ask me this question and you expect me to give you an answer. But I can't do that because I want to focus on this person. This book really made me process how we hold on in romantic relationships. We hold on to grudges and we hold on to grief. And how do we navigate those things when you have a person who, it's not like they cheated on you. It's not that they, did something to disrespect you. It's that they didn't know. They didn't know. And because miscommunication was a part of this, because they were young, and still now being at their big age, still miscommunication is a part of this because she's not expressing herself. How do you navigate that? How do you navigate the grief, the trauma of being a 15-year-old who was, um, for her, who you felt for yourself like, oh, he's telling me that he doesn't want to be with me, and you're still feeling those same feelings, but then also you don't want to get help. Like, they're offering you help. They're saying, hey, we have this person who can talk to you, who can guide you through these feelings. This person is an expert in trauma. She's a doctor. She has a doctorate in trauma. Okay, not like that lady, but that's a whole story for another day. You need to go and talk to her. So I thought it was an interesting, like, dynamic of how do you navigate this when someone hurts you? They don't mean to hurt you, but they reject you. In the rejection, and within that rejection, it is a physical manifestation of you and your soul being ripped apart. How do you navigate that as a 15-year-old? And now, because you haven't dealt with those feelings, you are now 30 and you are still dealing with those feelings. And not only you're dealing with the feelings of rejection from your fated mate, but you're also dealing with the feelings of he chose someone else. And because you think he chose someone else, he's still friends with that person. He loves that person in a very platonic way. And he loves that the child of that person. He loves the husband of that person. And you have to navigate that. Like, I want him to have these relationships because these relationships are important to him. But what about my feelings? How I am navigating this, knowing that he's very upfront about saying, hey, I am not about that life. Like, I don't like her. I love you. I want you. And now you are telling me that you can't do that, and you're throwing things in my face that I can't navigate because you're not talking, you're not being honest, and I don't want to feel like I'm with you. And every time I say something, every time I do something, it's like a minefield. I have to watch where I step so you don't blow up on me, so you don't change the way that I'm trying to love you. So I thought that was interesting. But also, like I said, with the family dynamics, you have two separate families. One, her family, who was like, you hurt our sister, we finna beat your ass. All father said, we can you. So we finna do that. And then you have his family and his mama, who is like, I guess, if you like her, I guess. And it's so interesting to see the dynamic of him trying to protect her from his family, the women in his family, two women, one of his sisters and his mother, and then also her trying to protect him from his family, who's definitely going to do physical harm to him, and all the things he had to go through in order to show her and to show her family that he truly, honestly was willing to make the sacrifices that he needed to in order to be with her. But again, because she's not being upfront and saying, hey, this is what I need, he was always like a day late and a dollar short. But this story just came out. It's going to be a part two, which I'm really excited about, because I cannot wait to see how this whole series. I think this is probably going to be the end of the series too. I think she has maybe like two more books, and then she's done with this Winter Moon series. But this is again Tessa Stone choosing Aaron, and this is the story. If you have not read Tessa Stone's entire series, I think you should. If you like paranormal romances that are black as shit, and you like vampires, you like werewolves, she got a hyena, she has a spider queen, she has a I forget what Anora is. I don't know what type of I think she's a witch as well. She has a goddess. Shit. How what else does she have in here? She has I say hyenas. She has a few different things in this series. And I love how she is putting history as well, because she has one story where you have the person who was in Rome, and you have another story with a person who was in like the civil rights movement and became a vampire. And then you have another story where you have vampires who is a whole asshole, and how he has to navigate, dealing, oh, dragons, duh, they're dragons as well in the stories as well. But it all takes place in and around Detroit. And so it is so interesting to see how a lot of her stories, this one actually didn't do it as much, but in her other stories, if you are privy to what, if you're privy, everybody's privy to what the hell is happening right now in the United States and across the world with fascism. In her stories relate to what is happening. And I love that, because Winter Moon is a space where women are treated with respect. When the women come there, they don't have to do anything. Everything is provided for them because their mates have been waiting 1,000 years for them. And also, you have to, the mates that they are having, they have like a fated mate scent. And what's interesting with this story is that you have men who are in the United States who are hell bent on keeping these women like under wraps. There is a coalition. I forget what their name was off the top of my head. It's like a coalition in a business. I think they're called Blackstone or Black something, who doesn't want to see any of these fated mates go with their supernatural partners. And so they're doing everything in their power to like scrub the internet to make sure that these women are found and taken into custody. And also, you are having these stories where these women are dealing with men in Detroit, because this is where a lot of this takes place, who are acting like our president right now. Yep. And so that is like the backstory of these other stories. But this one, I think, is which one is this? The Winter Moon Academy. And so the Academy is dealing with the youngins, and then the other stories are dealing with it. But if you want to read a black ass paranormal series, definitely look at Tessa Stone. Tessa Stone is one of my favorite authors for paranormal right now. If you are interested in paranormal, I have an entire series on here with paranormal black authors, books that I've reviewed, as well as what else? It's paranormal and just magic in general. I have all of that in another series. If you're looking for contemporary romance books, I also have a series for that. If you're looking for sapphic stories, I also have a series for that. Why choose? I also have a series for that. And a lot of these stories, a lot of the playlists actually kind of overlap, because some of these are why choose, but they are like paranormal or magical stories and things like that. So they'll be in both. But I also have a list of, I think, like 100. How many things I have now? I feel like I have like 130. Let me go on YouTube. I think I have 130 different reviews up. So let me see. I'm not in my account. I'm in my wrong account. But let me check to see how many stories I have right now in that I have reviewed. I can't believe I have that many. That's crazy. I think it's 120. Let me see playlist. So in the Sapphic books, I have 5 videos. Why choose? I have 12 videos. Historical, I have one. Oh, fantasy and paranormal, I have 47 books. And then contemporary is 53. So in romance, if you're just looking for romance and you don't care what it is, you can go through my entire list. I have 123 videos in my playlist just for romance books. Some of them are by, the majority of them, not some of them, the majority of them about Black authors. So if that is your jam, if you are interested in learning more about books, if you're interested in hearing my reviews on books, I try to keep my reviews very neutral. I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like, but I'm always going to tell you that you should read it for yourself because I think that's important. Reading books, especially not nonfiction, fiction books, is extremely important. I always say if you want to get your imagination going. Like I know everybody is using AI to create, but I also think it's important to read and to be able to envision what world building actually looks like when you use your imagination. So I hope that if you get nothing out of this, that one, that you will read this book or read any books from Tessa because I think Tessa is an amazing author. If you like paranormal, and her series are really good, she does an amazing job with taking the humanity of these characters and spreading them out so you get to see like what it means to be in a relationship when there is strife and grief, but also how you can redeem yourself. She has a really good book. I forget what that series is. It's under the Winter Moon series. Let me find it. But that book took me through my paces because, let me see, Tessa Stone took me through my paces because you had a character who thought that he could do something which was make his fated mate his without having a conversation on consent first. And because he did that, he changed the trajectory of his entire wolf pack. And that made everybody miserable. And more so, his fated mate became miserable. And so, because she was like the queen of that little wolf pack, everybody didn't like her. And the grief and the harm and the things that she did because she was unhappy, and how they had to navigate that as a couple, but also as this family. And that was really, really good. That was, what was that? Is that Nala? That's not Nala. Damn, which one is that? Forgiving Levi. Is that right? Yes, Forgiving Levi. Levi. That was a really good book. Really, really good book. And that series was wild. Mm-hmm. But give Tessa Stone a try. I think if you like paranormal, Black Ass Paranormal, you will love her stories. And she is a writer who I think gives her all in her books. And so you get to have stories that, one, do reflect what's happening right now, but also give you this whimsical space to see what if we did have vampires and, people who were able to have a, I want to say a harem, I don't know why I'm going to say a harem, have, what is it, a spider queen and all of these things and them navigating that. So yeah, get her stories. And I also like that in some of her stories, one I'm looking forward to because she has two characters who are women who are badass. Um, and one is an assassin. One is an assassin, and the other one is a queen. And she is, if you know anything about the hierarchy of hyenas, because this one character is a hyena. You know that their hierarchy is that it's a matriarchal. So you have the female hyena, and then the males are usually on the low end of the totem pole. And so this story talks about that, and I cannot wait to see his sister. So his sister, this story was about her brother, and then his sister is coming up next. I did do that story, so it is underneath the paranormal and the fantasy, so you'll see it. If you want to see anything that I have for um, Tessa, go ahead and look in that series because I have a lot of her books. But I thank you for joining me. I thank you for watching. I thank you for being here. If you have any books that you think that I should read, please feel free to let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for new books. If you are a new author who loves to read, let me know because I enjoy that so much. So, and let me say Tessa Stone in this book was Chasing Aaron by Tessa Stone. That is the one I just reviewed. And let me show you the right there. All right, y'all. Have a good night.